Have you ever wondered why we're drawn to certain people, even when deep down we might know they're not quite right for us? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful psychological theory that suggests our romantic choices are way less conscious than we think they are. First things first, let's tackle a big one, a really common and, let's be honest, kind of frustrating myth. The whole idea of the bad boy. You know the one I'm talking about. We see it everywhere, but it usually just creates more confusion than anything else. Yeah, you've heard this a million times, right? It gets thrown around constantly. But what if that entire premise is just wrong? What if we're not even asking the right question to begin with?
And that's the absolute key. This theory says that this choice isn't happening in the present moment. It's not about weighing the pros and cons of a potential partner. Instead, we're going to explore a much deeper mechanism that suggests the real decision was actually made a long time ago.
So where does it all start? Well, this theory proposes that the key is hiding in an emotional blueprint. Think of it like an invisible template that was created way back in our formative years. And specifically, it points to the relationship we had with our father as the main architect of this blueprint.
And this is what's called the blueprint effect. In other words, that past relationship with her father, whether it was super stable or kind of chaotic, can completely overshadow the actual person standing right in front of her. It becomes the lens, the filter through which she sees every potential partner.
So how does this actually work? Well, it happens through this really powerful three-step chain reaction that's going on completely under the surface. First, if a father figure was unstable or inconsistent, that imprints a pattern of emotional chaos. Then that chaos starts to feel familiar. It becomes her normal. And finally, her subconscious is automatically drawn to partners who replicate that exact same familiar pattern.
Okay, so what happens when someone stable, consistent, and generous comes along? You know, someone who offers safety and predictability. Now, you'd think that would be the absolute ideal, right? But according to this theory, it can trigger a completely different and unexpected reaction.
And this brings us to the stability paradox. Her nervous system, which has literally been conditioned for emotional roller coasters, for high-intensity ups and downs, completely misinterprets the feeling of safety. The calm doesn't feel like peace. It feels like a void. It feels like something is missing. It feels boring. And this chart, wow, it just lays that disconnect out perfectly. On one side, you have all the qualities that define a healthy relationship: stability, predictability, safety. But then look at how a nervous system that's wired for chaos reinterprets them. Stability becomes an empty void. Predictability feels like boredom. And safety gets mistaken for a total lack of passion. So what happens because of this disconnect? Well, it can lead to something called the sabotage trigger. It's this unconscious drive to actually provoke conflict, to start a fight. Why? To generate that familiar spike of emotional intensity, that feeling that her brain has mistakenly wired to feel like passion. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. The ultimate reality of this whole situation requires a huge shift in how we look at it, moving us way beyond simple labels like good or bad. This, right here, is the central idea. The attraction isn't to toxicity itself. It's not a desire to be treated poorly. It's simply an attraction to what feels familiar. And if pain was a big part of that early emotional blueprint, then sadly, pain can start to feel like home.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this isn't really about preference, it's about a pattern. It's a reenactment of a childhood template. The whole conversation shifts away from a conscious choice and toward a subconscious pull to what feels normal, even if normal is painful. So the root cause isn't the partner's character, it's the unhealed wound from that original blueprint. It's what psychologists call attachment trauma.
And this realization, this shifts the focus entirely. It stops being about judging a partner's qualities and starts being about understanding your own internal world. The power to change the pattern doesn't lie in finding a different person, but in healing that original blueprint. This is the now what. Recognizing that pattern is the very first step toward finally breaking it.
So ultimately, the most powerful question isn't, why do I always pick the wrong people? It's what blueprint is guiding my choices, and have I done the work to heal it? Now that's a question really worth reflecting on.